A classic novel is a book accepted as being exemplary or noteworthy by many different people across time. According to Italian journalist Italo Calvino, a classic should be timeless, and the themes within should be relevant for years to come.
Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte is considered a classic of English literature. It follows the life of the main character Heathcliff from childhood when he was adopted by Mr. Earnshaw to his death in his late 30s. Heathcliff becomes Mr. Earnshaw's favorite son, which greatly angered Mr. Earnshaw's biological son Hindley. When Mr. and Mrs. Earnshaw die, Hindley inherits the family's estate, named Wuthering Heights, and makes Heathcliff a servant. Heathcliff finally runs away when the young woman he loves, Catherine, rejects him and marries another man. He mysteriously returns several years later, rich and educated, determined to exact revenge on the two families, the Earnshaws and the Lintons, that he believed ruined his life. Wuthering Heights does detail a twisted love story between Heathcliff and Catherine, but the primary focus is on Heathcliff's desire for revenge.
There are many different important characters in Wuthering Heights. Firstly, there is Heathcliff, who is destroyed by his betrayal by Catherine Earnshaw and becomes bitter and cruel as a result. He was an orphan brought home by the wealthy Earnshaw family. Therefore, he never fully fit in within the family and was not accepted by anyone else in their high-class society except Mr. Earnshaw and Catherine, his adoptive sister. Catherine Earnshaw grew up in a wealthy home, but she is rebellious and shares a similar spirit to Heathcliff. Ultimately, though, she proves to be just like the rest of wealthy British society by marrying a man she doesn't love simply to advance her own social status. Other notable characters in the Earnshaw/Linton family include Edgar and Isabella Linton, wealthy siblings that live close to Wuthering Heights at an estate named Thrushcross Grange. Edgar ends up marrying Catherine Earnshaw, and later Heathcliff tricks Isabella into marrying him so he can further his plot for revenge. Cathy Linton is the daughter of Catherine and Edgar, while Leighton Heathcliff is the sickly son of Heathcliff and Isabella. Cathy and Linton eventually marry. There are also several important characters in the novel that are not in the immediate families. Mr. Lockwood, one of the narrators, is a tenant at Thrushcross Grange and comes into contact with Heathcliff and his surviving family. Nellie Dean, the other narrator, tells Lockwood the story of Heathcliff, and that is how the plot develops. The portrayal of Heathcliff's reaction to Catherine's death in the 1992 rendition of Wuthering Heights is extremely different from the way Bronte portrays it in the novel. In the movie, Heathcliff is visibly very upset and grabs her body from her coffin and hugs her. In the novel, when Heathcliff learns about her death, he said, "Catherine Earnshaw, may you not rest as long as I am living." He wishes for Catherine to not find peace in death, and even though he hates her for betraying him, wishes for her to haunt him for the rest of his life because he cannot imagine a life without her. Heathcliff in the novel is angry at Catherine's death, not sad. Heathcliff and Catherine's love would be considered absolutely unacceptable in Victorian England. Not only were they adoptive siblings, but Catherine would be frowned upon by high-class society if she married a man below her in status. Even though she admitted to Nellie that she was in love with Heathcliff, she stated that she would never be able to marry him because her social status is more important to her. Gender roles were also very rigid during this time period. Women were supposed to be pure, caring, and submissive. Men, on the other hand, were expected to be strong and independent. Catherine Earnshaw, the heroine of Wuthering Heights, breaks the stereotype because she embodies many masculine qualities. However, while Emily Bronte pushes against the restrictions of Victorian gender roles with Catherine's character, she seems to agree with others of her time in believing that masculine qualities were superior to feminine ones. Wuthering Heights is the only novel that Emily Bronte ever published because she died at the age of 30 from tuberculosis. The inspiration for Wuthering Heights is often identified as Hyde, Sunderland Hall, a large Gothic hall where Emily Bronte worked briefly as a governess. The darkness of the novel is influenced by the tradition of the Gothic novel, which was popular at the time and practiced by her sister Charlotte. Both Charlotte and Emily were born in Yorkshire. Their mother died in 1821, and their aunt moved in to help their father raise them. When the Bronte girls were sent to boarding school, they experienced harsh treatment and seriously unhealthy conditions. It is possible that Bronte identified with the character of Heathcliff and created him to mirror her own struggles. She, like Heathcliff, grew up under harsh conditions and lost her parents at a young age. In simple terms, Wuthering Heights is considered a classic because it is timeless. Wuthering Heights was a pioneer of the Gothic genre and set the precedent for future Gothic novels to follow. It is relatable to many because the struggles the characters face are realistic and similar to those that people have been facing for many years. For example, Catherine does not know if she should follow her heart and choose Heathcliff, or do what society wants her to do and choose Edgar.